All right. Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. This is Angela Wilkinson, the host of the Awakened Goddess Show and founder of Spark Spiritual Academy. And with me today, I have Reverend Erin-Ashley Kerti. And so we're going to talk about psychic development to kick off our psychic development month in Spark Spiritual Academy. So welcome, Erin-Ashley.
Thank you, Angela. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm really excited about your Spark Academy. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, so let's dive in because, we have just 30 minutes here to talk about psychic development, and that is not a small topic to be talking about.
Yes, definitely not.
Yeah, so you are a teacher of developing one's psychic abilities, and you have a program. Your business is called
Spiritual Mechanic at spiritualmechanic.com. I consider myself a spiritual mechanic because that's what I'm good at. I see energies. I understand how they work together, both on the non-physical and physical realm and how they merge. And so that is part of what I love to teach other people with psychic development and energy work.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I love working in the energetic realm. And I've always had this fascination by it. I have had a grandmother who, in her family, I think she and two of her sisters were psychic. And, we didn't have that much of a relationship. I knew that there was the psychic piece in our family. So I suspect that it has been passed down to me, which I think is super cool.
Very cool. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the different ways that we can receive psychic information and then how to develop your ability to translate. So why don't you just...
All right. I'm going to dive in. Yeah. So there's three layers of psychic development. There's whether or not you're receiving information. And so if you want to check this, just check to see if you have a heartbeat. If you do, you're receiving information. The next one is about, can you interpret it accurately? And that's a skill, of course. It can be developed. Some people find it very easy to interpret the information correctly. And then the third layer is all about your willingness to act on it. So this is about the faith aspect, taking action on it. Because if you have the information and you don't act on it, then it's basically rendered useless. So it's not helpful. So if you get the intuitive hit, and this is a wild example, to go and buy a lottery ticket and put down certain numbers, you can't wait 6 weeks to do this if the intuition is striking now, because the lottery will have already happened. But all three parts are important. You have to learn to interpret before you can take action. And once you know how, you can add in the action piece, and it can be a process because it's like a relationship. You want to practice putting it into action and then actually analyze, all right, how well did I interpret that piece of information? Was it a pretty spot on interpretation, or was there a glitch somewhere?
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so tell us the different ways that we can receive information.
So I like to focus on the four major clairs, as I call it, which are basically the ways of knowing. And the first is clairvoyance, which means clear seeing. If this is your type, if this is your psychic style, then you will tend to be a visual learner. You will tend to have vivid dreams. And whenever you meditate, you will tend to see colors, images, or scenes play out inside your mind's eye. Clairaudience means clear hearing. So if this is your psychic style, then you will tend to be an auditory learner. You will tend to get songs stuck in your head. Hint, those are actually messages. You will tend to, I already said auditory learner. Oh, you will also tend to get annoyed with noises that don't feel good in your space. So if you're clairaudient, all of that is a sign. Also, whenever you're meditating, you will tend to get some type of auditory. It can be music, it can be ringing in the ears, or it can be a short message. And if you're really skilled, it can turn into an entire conversation or an entire download. So that's fun. And then the third one is clairsentience, and this means clear feeling. If you are clairsentient, you will get clear sensations in the body. Now, this one takes a lot of awareness, especially if you're brought up traditionally in the Western society. We're taught to not pay attention to those sensations and just go straight ahead. However, they have a lot of wonderful information for you. If you are a clairsentient, then you will tend to be a kinesthetic learner. You have to get into motion to learn anything. For instance, if you're trying to learn something, taking short breaks for walks or pacing is definitely in line. Whenever you meditate, you tend to get a lot of physical sensation, and the sensation is very obvious to you. You don't have to search very hard for it. Now, the beauty here is if you are an empath and you know you're an empath, then this is definitely where it fits in. An empath, just in case you're not familiar, is someone who experiences other people's stuff, whether it's emotional or physical, as if it's their own. And then the final one is claircognizance. And claircognizance is clear knowing. This is the most fun because you know, like you know, like you know. And you just know. You can't explain it. It comes with its own sense of certainty. Claircognizance means clear knowing. So it comes with its own sense of certainty, which causes the very weird effect of what I like to call the claircognizant hangover. After you get the intuitive hit, whenever the intuitive hit is no longer present in that moment, you will feel an odd sense of lack of confidence simply because you were used to getting the intuitive hit. Now it's gone away. And so that confidence is gone, and it oftentimes makes people second guess their intuitive hit because, you know, they're no longer at the same vibration as the intuitive hit. So they double, triple guess. So those are the four main ways.
Nice. Okay. So is it common to have all four?
Absolutely. It depends on the person. I find that a lot of people have all four. There's usually one or two that is dominant. So this is the one that you really want to focus on because you really want to focus with the strengths in order to build your psychic skills. So if, for instance, you're heavily clairvoyant, you want to focus on the images so that they can grow. And as you do that, you will notice more and more, for instance, sensation that come along with it that add more information for you. But you always start where you're strongest. The rest will present itself as you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny, you were talking about the songs. I had a song, I was going on my walk, and just a random song out of the blue came to mind. And it came actually, it was interesting, right after I smelled like woman's perfume.
Mm.
And the song was, you know, the movie Stand By Me?
No. I don't know that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was filmed in Oregon. Or no, I'm mixing that with Goonies. Excuse me. Stand By Me. Gosh, now I maybe anyway. It was from one of those movies, and it's like an older song. Da 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 da. Do you know that song, or am I just making it?
No, I feel like I know it, but I don't remember the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you mentioned that because I had that experience this morning. So if anybody wakes up with a song or random songs pop in their head, you're saying there's a message there.
Absolutely. So especially when it pops into your head, especially after you've been thinking about a problem that you want the universe to solve or give you the solution to, and you know, usually they'll start playing a song. And then you want to pay attention to what the lyrics are. What are the lyrics? It's usually just one or two bars that play over and over again with the lyrics. And then those lyrics are the message. And it, in general, until you get the message, it's just going to be stuck in your head. So especially if it's a song you don't enjoy, you really want to get that message quickly, you know?
Yeah. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that. Yeah, because they definitely, like you say, replay over and over and over again. It's like
And over and over. Yes.
yeah. Okay. So then let's go through each of those, and then you can help us kind of fine tune like how to translate.
Okay, translation. With clairvoyance, the best way to translate is, number one, you want to keep a dream journal. Now, you can Google how to do this. and you'll get so much good information. For me and myself, I don't necessarily do it every day because I forget, things get distracting, and it's also not my dominant gift. So it doesn't make sense for me to keep it every day. If it is your dominant gift, then you want to play with it to see if you want to do a dream journal every single day. Some people love, love, love it, and that's their huge connection to spirit and source. Other people find it tedious. So you want to find the happy medium. You play with it. That's the best thing I can advise, is play with it. And then you want to play with symbols. On my website, there is a vision interpretation technique. You can go to the little tab for mini classes. If you go to the main website, spiritualmechanic.com, there's a mini classes thing down at near the bottom on the right-hand side. And if you go there, there's one where you can sign up for Psychic 101. Whenever you get to the Claire audience or the clairvoyance, there will be one for vision interpretation technique. And it will show you how to interpret those visions. So it shows you specifically how to go and see what it means. Now, most of the time, if you're getting color swirls or things that are non-specific like that, then you really want to start studying the chakras, which are just 7 major energy centers, because it's likely giving you information about your energy system. So if you see a swirl of purple and yellow, for instance, and they're very intertwined and they look very much like they're one, but with a pretty pattern, then you know that your intuition and your confidence are linked. So yellow has to do with the solar plexus, self-esteem, and confidence. And your intuition is the brow chakra right here. And so its general color is purple, and those two together lets you know that you want to pay attention to how well you're honoring your intuition and honoring your own confidence. So that's just an example of how you interpret something that seemed kind of random. And then with clairaudience, what you can do is you want to pay attention to the little short word messages you get. So if you get a lyric that's stuck in your head, you just want to write out the lyric and ask, okay, what does this feel like it pertains to in my life? What in my life has a similar energy? And what is the message? Just 2 questions. What in my life has a similar energy? And what's the message? And because the energy will give you the answer. It's all about energy. With clairsentience, this one takes a little bit of practice because we always have sensations going through the body. So the best thing you want to do if you are primarily clairsentient or an empath is make sure you are doing a nice relaxation meditation on a regular basis to process old energies and emotions, and then notice which ones stick around as you are meditating. The ones that stick around and become stronger as you meditate are the intuitive hits. The ones that release easily and effortlessly, you just sit there, you breathe, and it's just like, whoop, gone out. That's just something that needed to be processed. If it sticks around, it's a message. And the basic rule of thumb is you want to know whether it feels good or bad and locate where in the body it is. And it's going to give you information once again about the chakra systems. So if you feel a clenching in your gut while you're meditating and it won't go away, that means there's something to do with your confidence, self-esteem, or something to do that's supporting or not supporting that you want to address and think about.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, because I know that, at least for myself, I like fear. I feel that, or anxiety that comes in my solar plexus.
Yes.
And there are times. So how do you differentiate between like the egoic fear versus like, message?
So what you want to do is you want to breathe and meditate. This is the best thing you can do as a heavily clairsentient person, is sit there, breathe, and meditate. Focus on the breath. And what happens if it's egoic fear, then it's going to release as you do the meditation. And if you even want to use a self-kindness or self-compassion meditation, that's even better, where each part of the tension you feel in your body, you send it love and compassion. Oh, it's so hard for you to feel stressed. I'm so sorry that you feel that way. If it's egoic, then it will be like, oh, okay, I got what I needed, and it goes away. If it's an intuitive hit, then it becomes stronger, and usually the fear will start to dissipate and the message underneath it will come forth. So let's say, for example, that someone is struggling with boundaries. I know none of us actually struggle with that, but let's just say that there are new boundaries that need to be put in place. And the emotion and sensations, the clenching in the gut, the feeling that there's never enough time, and feeling stressed and overwhelmed. You sit down in meditation and you do the breathing meditation and kindness and compassion. And what happens is all of a sudden you realize, oh, I told someone that they could borrow my car, for instance, whenever I actually needed it, and I didn't really feel good about it. Well, that's a new boundary that you want to put in place, because that's your system saying, hey, we have higher standards here. We would like for you to own whatever it is that you truly desire. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it takes some practice. This is a learning, there's a learning curve with this. So you want to be very gentle with yourself as you learn. That's why the third step of checking to see how well it went or didn't go is really important. And I highly recommend, if you really want to develop your intuition and psychic abilities, keep a journal and be very kind and compassionate with yourself. Most people who are attracted to developing their psychic abilities tend to be very sensitive. And that means that we're very sensitive to criticism, especially self-criticism. So you want to give yourself kindness and compassion as you go through this, because there will be times when you make a mistake, whenever you make a misinterpretation. And that's okay. Everyone does it. I still do it. I've been a professional for years, you know, and so you just want to give yourself that kindness and compassion as you go through it.
Nice.
And the fourth and final one, clear cognizance. The beauty of clear cognizance is that you know whatever the information is. That's beautiful. You've got it clear. That's the benefit. The downside is you want to manage the lack of confidence right after you get the hit. The double and second and third guessing yourself whenever you know what you should be doing, and then you feel like, oh crap, am I right? Did I get that information right? So to know this, you want to go and remember, how certain did you feel at the time you got that piece of information from the universe? And if it's strong, then this is a practice in developing trust. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. Keep on going, and you just trust as much as you can. Remember, trust is a skill. This isn't something that you're supposed to know how to do 100% right away. So allow yourself to develop the skill one step at a time, trusting as best you can, and then taking the next step.
Yeah, so with that particular one, the knowing, the clear,
mm-hmm. Cognizant.
Cognizance. Okay, so is there a way to, or how do you get it to happen more often? Because yes. I've had two instances when that happened, and I knew that I was going to win, and it was two different things that I won. One a trip and one money, and it was just like random out of the blue. And
yeah.
So I want to know how to proactively use that.
So to proactively, this is the hardest one to develop, because there's not a clear, it's not like the others where you start seeing things. So there's two things you can do. Number one, you want to start replicating that feeling of certainty within yourself. So you want to, as best you can, start developing that feeling of certainty. That means that your body is receptive to that feeling of certainty, which means the universe can give you that intuition much more easily. So if you find yourself not feeling confident a large portion of the time, and I'm not saying this is you directly, then you want to start developing that inner confidence, that feeling that you are okay, perfect, whole, and complete, regardless of what's happening around. I'm not talking about fake confidence where you say everything's perfect whenever there's 18 million things that you don't feel good about in your life. That's slapping a happy face over a frowny face. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Instead, this is about healthy self-confidence, where you accept where you are, trust that you're whole, perfect, and complete exactly as you are, even when you don't feel like it. And with practice, you can develop that feeling of certainty, and then you'll get those strong, clear, cognizant hits more and more often. The second way you can develop it is by acting on it whenever there's an action step. So with yours, you knew you were going to win something. Mm-hmm. Your job is to pick up your prize, right? So that's fantastic. Take that action. But you also want to, if there's any action involved, you want to take that action as quickly as you can without feeling rushed or stressed. So this means if you get the intuitive, clear, cognizant feeling, oh, I need to put something out into the universe. I'm in business. I want to create a new offer. This is the offer I should create. The second you have a chance to do it, go ahead and do it. And then put it out and trust the universe. And that's how you get more of the claircognizance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the after effects of when you have that knowing, or you have these psychic messages that come in, that there's that doubt that kind
Yes.
of follows. And then I think so many of us, I think that seems to be where most of us really want to focus our skills, because I think
Yes.
that a lot of us are getting messages all the time,
Exactly.
and we just kind of put them to the side. We don't follow that inner sensation or whatever it is that we're getting.
Yes. Yes. And so the best way I can recommend, if someone's wanting to develop that trust, which really is the best skill. Otherwise, if you develop your psychic abilities to a very high level, but you don't develop your level of trust, then yeah, you'll get a lot of information, but it won't be put to good, healthy use.
Mhm.
And so the best way to do it is, first of all, give yourself kindness and compassion wherever you are. There are billions of people who get intuitive hits who haven't learned how to implement them yet. So there are billions of people, and there are millions of people that are experiencing that same frustration right now. So that's first. You want to really recognize that, especially as sensitives, will feel very guilty about not being perfect right away. And so you want to just diminish that by honestly looking at the fact that this is a normal part of the human experience. We get intuitive hits and we have to learn how to implement them. Next, you want to see where your bits of resistance are. Is it that you'll feel dumb or embarrassed if it doesn't pan out? Is it that you don't feel like you could be getting intuitive messages? Is it that if you start acting on it, you might become visible? That's a common one too. And whichever one it is, again, go back to kindness and compassion. That is the best way to move through this. Kindness and compassion for yourself. Because the more you do that, the more you will train yourself. Remember, you're a human, or you're a spirit living inside a human. So all expansive, beautiful, amazing spirit stuffed in a little teeny tiny human body, right? And so you get all this fun stuff that comes with it. And so you want to be very kind with yourself as you go through it. And that will teach yourself that it's safe to play with and explore and trust your intuition. Because even if there is a mistake, you will be there to give yourself kindness and compassion to work through it. And even if you are seen and it makes you uncomfortable, it makes you feel vulnerable, you'll be there to walk yourself through that experience. And even if, what was the third one? No matter what happens, there's going to be, you watching your own back, caring about yourself, caring for yourself, and taking steps from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I know that I'm not the only person out there that does this. The ego is really sly.
Yes.
Sound like our higher self or our intuition. And I thought I was following my intuition, but it turns out I think I must have been following my negative ego. And so I'm wondering how you can kind of differentiate between those two.
This is a little bit of practice, and this is a little bit of working with vibration. So for the practice portion, you want to simply note, okay, what convinced you were working with your intuition, and what made you change your mind? Was it the results? Did you learn something new about yourself? If it's the results, you want to go back and say, okay, where was I not aligned? Because the ego will trick you into thinking you're aligned when you're not, right?
Mm.
So you want to get really in touch with those emotions and fears. Now, this sounds like anti-vibration work. Oh, you want me to get in touch with fears? What the crap? No, we're talking about fears that already exist. So we're getting in touch with the subconscious things that already exist that are just below your awareness. And if you get in touch with them with that feeling of self-compassion, I'm going to be preaching this forever, then what happens is the fear comes up. Oftentimes there is an instigating event for that fear. And so we want to be nice to that instigating event. Oftentimes it's childhood stuff. Money is a huge one for people. So they think they want $5,000 or more a month, right? Like they know that they want that. And so they're setting intentions. They're vibrationally aligned with their maximum amount. And then they find out that they made about 1,500 in a month, right? And so obviously there's a disconnect. There's a $3,500 disconnect between what their vibration was ready for and what their mind thought they were going to create. Mm-hmm. And so there's a $3,500 wounded child, teen, or young adult that they want to go back and hold and heal and then really see, because the ego is only there for protection. So anytime it shows up to protect, you want to remove the source that it thinks it has to protect. That's the best way long-term to work with it. Because if it no longer thinks that it needs to protect you from having too much money, then you will be in a much safer place.
Yeah, I love that you talked about that, because there have been times, I mean, we all have had times when we've set a goal for ourselves and there's a discrepancy between what we intend and what manifests.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so we do have a question that I want to make sure we cover before we wrap up here in a few minutes. And it was from Viviana. And her question is, she has hesitancy in opening up because she's concerned that she's going to become too open. She says, I do feel the push sometimes to be open, I guess, clairvoyantly, and with other gifts, but she resists. She doesn't want to feel bombarded with so much information that she can't handle it. Because she feels like she's already too open and already feeling pretty overwhelmed, it sounds like.
Yes, this is almost always two things here that you want to check out and play with. So Viviana, number one, I recommend that you play with vibration. So you want to make sure that you can navigate your vibration up and down. Now, you only want to go down so you can practice it. You're not going to stay down, right? You're just practicing. You go up, and then if your body naturally falls lower, then you know how to go up again. But if you know how to go both up and down, then you have full control. You'll notice when you start going down, and then you can bring it right back up where you want it to be, the ideal. That's number one. And number two, you want to take a look at your chakra size. If your chakras are too large, your chakras are the energy centers in your body. You have 7 majors and many, many more, depending on which discipline you study. And so you want to make sure that depending on how sensitive you are, there's an appropriate size for each person. But if you're doing energy work, you want to get specific messages. Especially if you're an empath, you want to make sure that your house is pretty clear energetically and from grumpy people, if at all possible. And then you can stretch those chakras out, allow them to grow to about here. Doop. Okay. And so that, that's outside of the body. Chakras aren't generally outside the body. You want them outside the body to receive lots of information. But once you're done, you have to bring them back. Otherwise, you're going to pick up everyone's stuff. You'll never go to the grocery store again, and you won't want to leave your house. So you want to bring them back to about softball size, and then you want to play with the appropriate size for you. You want to play with the size of the chakras. The bigger they are, the more information you get. The smaller they are, the less information you get.
Awesome. Well, hopefully that answers her question. And I'm sure that other people, especially if they're super sensitive, will resonate with that as well. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So, how can the listeners connect with you, Erin?
Well, what they can do is they can sign up for the list I give out about once a month. I do a free call for anyone who's interested, where I do some type of training on spiritual subjects. So the last one was how to do a shamanic journey. And then the next round, I have no idea what it's going to be. I don't know yet. And then also we have Psychic Sunday, which will be starting back up probably early October. It's a weekly show. So you can get that at spiritualmechanic.com. Plus you have a chakra meditation download that you can get. So if you want to clear your chakras on your own, that's how you do it.
Awesome. And you have a gift that we're going to put a link to? Remind us.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and give the link to the Trusting the Universe meditation. I made it for my now retired Unleash Your Psychic Genius course. And so I'll give that as a gift. So you can practice trusting and developing trust with the universe and with yourself.
Awesome. Yay. That is so cool. So cool. Meditations are amazing. And I love your calls that you do, your like mini workshops. I mean, they're so full of great information. So you guys definitely want to check her out and follow her and join her next psychic development course, which I believe is coming up in February, right?
Coming up in February. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know you guys have to wait. You got to wait some time, but definitely get on her list because I know she fills up really, really fast. All right. So if you enjoyed this conversation that we had, like I said, this is like a kickoff to our monthly theme over at the Spark Spiritual Academy. And this month I have an amazing lineup of guests for you, talking all about developing your psychic gifts. This past Sunday, we had Trisha Kondo. She's talking about your spirit guides, and she gave me a really amazing impromptu reading, which really shocked me. It was just like so right on. We also have Stephanie Banks talking about awakening to your higher self. She had an experience, a near-death experience, and she tapped into her abilities. And so that's a great interview to listen to if you want to know how you might be receiving messages as well. I also have Carrie Samuels talking about numerology for your soul, another amazing interview with lots of information about your numbers and how that relates to your life. Oh my gosh, I was blown away by that as well. I'm a number 5, and it totally explains.
I'm number 5.
You are? It totally explains like why I am like I am. It's like crazy. I also have Eleutheria Kakamburis. She's talking about uncovering the temple within, about the divine feminine and how to connect with that more. And finishing off with Lindsay Marino talking about secrets to connecting to the other side. And she is a psychic medium and another really awesome show. So again, if you enjoyed this conversation and want bonus content from all of the Awakened Goddess Show guests, definitely check out joining Spark Spiritual Academy because there is so much awesomeness there and you're going to love it. And you can find out more over at theawakenedgoddess.com/join. So until next month, I hope you all have an awesome month. And next month, we're going to be talking about inspired living. So make sure to join us then. All right. Peace out.